Morning everyone. What is embarrassment? Why do we get it? And what's the point of it? But more importantly, what lesson is it trying to teach us? So today I'm going to try and answer that based on something that happened yesterday, which was quite unusual, for me anyway. Okay, stay tuned. Look at that. It's the nicest morning of the year so far. Well, I think you can probably see my breath, but it's going to be 17 degrees today. So anyway, out for a run, as I said, and I'm going to tell you this story about embarrassment. So as you know, I like to go and do cold water dip. I go most Fridays when I can. And yesterday, before work, I went to the usual watering hole, and the guys I normally go with weren't there. And I waited for about 10 minutes in the car, and I messaged them, they didn't turn up, didn't answer. And so I thought maybe they're in already, but I hadn't seen their cars. Anyway, there was, well, I don't know, half a dozen ladies in there swimming, like properly swimming, not just doing a cold plunge. And my immediate reaction was one of overwhelming embarrassment. Sorry, sun's come up, sorry about that. Overwhelming embarrassment. And I got back in the car and I drove away. Now, I spent all morning with a couple of feelings. The first one was, well, I didn't do something I enjoy doing. And I haven't really got a good explanation why I didn't do it, apart from embarrassment. And the second thing I spent ages talking about, or thinking about, was why? Why did I feel that way? What is the embarrassment trying to teach me? And how can I change that for next time? So let's talk about embarrassment and what it is and what we can learn from it. So what is embarrassment? The actual answer is I don't really know. And when you look it up, it's a little bit unclear. There's lots of explanations. But I think the main one, and certainly my interpretation of it, is embarrassment is probably an evolutionary designed social response to an uncomfortable situation where you feel you've done something bad and people will pick on you as a result and laugh at you, and you feel that horrible pit of the stomach feeling. It's not quite the same as guilt or shame. It's probably like a loose cousin of them. But if you imagine that you were in a tribe 10,000 years ago and you did something that the rest of the tribe found a bit odd and a bit weird, and they all pointed at you and started laughing at you, well, it would be teaching you a lesson, which is don't do this again, because if you do, you'll be singled out. And that's maybe, I suppose that's my interpretation of where embarrassment comes from. The unfortunate thing is, in modern society, it can be really overwhelming. And as I found out yesterday, it can stop you doing things you actually enjoy. So think about, you play piano, but you're too embarrassed to play in a concert or in a competition. Or you really like swimming, like I do, but you're embarrassed about your body shape. And that's what happened to me yesterday, is I was embarrassed, not because they were strangers, I could speak to anyone about anything, but I felt uncomfortable going in that water in just my shorts with 6 or 7 other randoms who all knew each other. They were a little tribe, and suddenly this big tubby guy comes into the water. So that was what stopped me. And I think that is a reasonable, well, certainly it's my feelings and my understanding about what embarrassment is there for, and how it causes us to kind of conform with what everyone else is doing, how everyone else is. That's my thoughts. So the next question is, why do we get it? In terms of a reflection or a lesson. And I spent a lot of yesterday thinking about this. I mean, I had a normal morning clinic. I didn't enjoy it as much. because I hadn't had my morning dip, and I felt a bit annoyed with myself. So the reflection for me afterwards was one of two things. The first one, and probably the most realistic one, is those people don't care. They are not going to go home and talk about some random guy that turned up, got in the water for 2 minutes and then left. They're just busy with their own lives. But I'm so obsessed, as I'm sure a lot of us are, with external validation, is that we shy away from those experiences because we're worried about what others think. And so from the first bit of reflection, I realised I should have just done it. Right now I wouldn't think anything of it, and I would have had my morning dip and I'd have felt better. But instead I let embarrassment get in the way. Now the second reflection, of course, is the obvious one. It's the aesthetics, the body habitus, my shape, all of that. I'm not comfortable getting into a situation like that with strangers. I was recently at Centre Parks with the kids, and the whole time I wore a rashie when I was at the tropical swimming pool place. And my kids, one of them said, "Dad, why do you wear that?" And I made some half-arsed excuse about getting cold, waiting in queues for water slides. But actuality is, I'm not comfortable. And there was plenty of people there with worse dad bods than me. But geez, I don't know how they do it. And I felt really kind of a lot of shame being asked that question. So the second reflection is, if you feel embarrassed about something, what is it that you need to do? And the answer is, you need to lean into that. You need to say, what caused me to feel this way and how can I change it? And in the case of this episode, well, I need to lose some weight. And believe me, I've been trying for my whole life. And I need to think about ways to trim down as well. So develop that nobody cares mentality is the first one. And then, well, what can I actually do to make myself feel less that way? So that's what I'd say the embarrassment has taught me. So I'd say this to you. If you ever find yourself in an embarrassing situation, ask yourself, why was I embarrassed? Was it because you didn't know enough? Was it because you didn't have enough expertise on a topic? Was it because you didn't practice enough? Was it because you had isolated yourself and you needed some social backup? I mean, there can be thousands of reasons why we get embarrassed. And as I say, it's usually intermingled with a wee bit of shame and a wee bit of guilt. And those are all really unhelpful feelings, but perhaps they can lead you to a more helpful place. So have a think about that. And I hope the next time you're embarrassed, you just get yourself outside of yourself and look at why you felt that way and say, what can I change for next time? Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.